Hello and welcome to another video. This is not a rant because it's not Sunday. What happened? Do I have enough? I'm gonna say that's enough level. I don't know. Oh no, tech stuff. I just talking to a mic. Mike. Not enough coffee, that's the problem. So, inMusic responded. Now the video yesterday had 66,000 clicks. It came out on Sunday. I don't do drama and shit like this for clicks. It's not my thing. But I was pissed off and I think things had to be said. Now, before I let you know what inMusic said, I want to respond to some things. There are a lot of comments. Now, first of all, there are a lot of comments saying, wait. Let's circle back a bit. I will quickly tell you what happened because the video in question will be taken down in about 2 or 3 days after the launch of this. So right now, if you're watching this as it comes out, you have a chance to go to the original video and see what this whole hoopla is about. But since they responded in a way that I will outline in a bit, it is not fair to have a video out that, bashes them without their response in it. So this is the new video. And I think it makes sense, out of fairness, to not have the bashy video out. So what happened is, this is very, 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 very important. There is a relationship with this company called inMusic. They got 20 brands under their umbrella. And I did not cold call them and say, let me work for you, let me do videos. And then continuously write, hey, why aren't you answering? That's not what happened, right? I already had a working relationship with this company who kept firing the people I was working with. So always dealing with a new guy. And at some point I was like, okay, I'm done. If they want something, they know where to find me. And then they did. And then the director of marketing, that was his job, contacted me. So this wasn't me badgering a company. It was the director of marketing contacting me. Okay. And then silence. And then, he wrote me one email. I wrote one back and then he doesn't respond to that. Why do you reach out to someone and then not respond? You wanted something from me, not the other way around. Yeah, landed in spam. This went on and on and on over the course of about 2.5 months. With me continuously writing, where are we with this? You were supposed to send the product. We agreed on everything and now you're ghosting me. To which I then had to write to tech support, pretending I had an issue with the head rush, so that they would forward my email to marketing, to which someone in marketing, who is the community manager, who's not responsible for me, this is one of the big points about this whole story, not responsible for me, addresses me by the wrong name, says, thank you for your patience and understanding when I clearly didn't have any, and it really spiraled out of control there. So, the big point is here, if you write to endorsement at a company saying, I'm interested to endorse your company, for example, that's a cold call, right? Does the company have the right to simply ignore you? I'm going to say, fuck no. Common courtesy, copy paste. Thanks for reaching out and showing interest in our company. We have your email on file now. We'll reach out, but currently there are no openings. Copy paste email takes a second to do that. Ignoring? Fuck the hell no. And apparently, this just not responding is a generational thing. It is. Because people of my generation, old fucking farts, don't do that. And 700-800 comments, or even more by now. There's 2 kinds of comments. One, saying this is totally normal. This is US business. It's not just US business. It's millennials, Gen Z, I don't even know what the generations are. It's that. There is an issue. There is a problem. And just accepting it, as a lot of the comments are saying, this is normal, we deal with this. Why are we accepting this? Why aren't we calling them out like I did and saying, this isn't cool? So in your next email, you write, I'm sorry, but it's not cool. I've written you 3 emails. You don't write back to me. I see a need to go above your head and talk to your management. Because it's not okay. This is not the status quo that we have to be okay with. It can be changed. And this video right here is proof that it can. As you will see, I'm teasing a bit in a bit. So that was one of the answers. Everyone coming in saying, this is normal. Now, that's the comments that I got. I got WhatsApp messages from ad agencies I've worked with saying, yeah, that's totally normal. We deal with this. I talked to a woman at a meeting of a certain age where that's normal. In the middle of the sentence, she turns around and walks away. Well, fuck that. Then a drummer friend of mine, I had a 13-minute WhatsApp voice message from him. Thank you, Juan. Ranting at me about his life being the same. So, okay, we all live through this, but because it's done doesn't mean it should be. This was never the case that you just ghosted people when you reached out to them. So, example, I have a very nice, smart girl going through my tax documents. It's 4 binders and putting it all together before it goes to my tax attorney. That saves me a bit of money from my tax attorney. She's been doing this for years. She's very good at it. She's organized, you know. She's a what do you call this? Tax attorney helpery lady. She's good. She finds shit that's missing. She's great. Communicating with her through iMessage, weeks between messages. So I reach out, nothing. I reach out, nothing. I'm paying her, right? Okay, fine. So she writes me, when are you bringing the stuff by? And I immediately write back, how about Saturday? So the phone still has to be in her hand. No response. And when we finally did communicate and I dropped the stuff off, I said, why? You wrote this to me. Why don't you sit there at least for 30 seconds and wait for an answer, which came within 30 seconds. She's like, no, I put my phone away, just, did other things for a day and a half. That is insulting. That is unprofessional. You wrote to me, when are you coming by? Well, I answered. And then you put your phone away immediately? That is a generational thing. She's in her 20s. I'm not okay. I called her on it. I said, next time you write me back immediately when I respond. You initiated a conversation. We'll finish that conversation. Then you put your fucking phone away. But it seems to be totally normal now, right? And then there's the other types of comments where people are saying, it was my fault. So this company reached out to me and then stopped talking to me. Again, I didn't want anything from them. And it would have been totally fine for them to tell me, oh, by the way, the job's no longer available. We made a mistake. We spent the budget on chips. Whatever. Totally fine. There was no contract. It's their right to cancel the job. Just let me know. And then there were quite a few comments, including a video from some British channel, calling me entitled, calling me arrogant, saying, well, the company had paid me before, so now, and this really got to me, so now I'm their dancing monkey. They paid me before, now they can do with me as they please, dance monkey dance. Well, anyone that knows me, knows, fuck no. I work for you guys and nobody else. And I don't dance for any company. Talk to many companies I've worked with, they can tell you that. And arrogance? Arrogance to expect an answer to an email and a job that they initiated. Entitlement would be, first of all, if I write someone cold call and say, you have to respond to me because I am Henning Pauli. First of all, my name is Henning Pauli. Secondly, I run a tiny little YouTube channel. In the world of media, I'm absolutely nothing. For me to walk through the world expecting people and companies to recognize me and work with me because I am HP42, that's asinine. That's being just completely devoid of any realizing of reality. I have a tiny little YouTube channel. Nobody owes me anything, period. So entitled, no. Am I entitled to an answer when they initiated a conversation and I write back? Absolutely. But so is everyone else. So is any shop dealing with them buying their products. So is someone who has a customer request. Any person, any human being is entitled to an answer in a conversation. When the conversation's going and your email ends with a question, you are entitled to an answer. Maybe a short answer, but you are entitled to be respected as a human being. Not me, not anyone bigger than me, everyone. Everyone has that right. That's not being entitled. Entitled means I count more than anyone else, and I don't. If you bought a product, you invested in the company, you are entitled for answers if you have questions. So, yet again, there were quite a few saying, I made the mistake of following up instead of getting the message of they ghosted me, which that wasn't the message. It's not what the company wanted to do, as you will find out. The fact that I did follow up and made the video was correct to get to the bottom of it. So, arrogant and entitled? I don't think so. Even if you write to a company cold, they don't know who you are. Again, just write something back. Yesterday, I go through my Instagram message requests, which are buried, and I don't see them. So every couple of months, I find these. And there are questions from fans. Now I have 200,000 subscribers. It can easily happen that I miss messages from fans on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I'll take the time to answer. I have a shit ton of shit to do. I still take the time to answer. Why? Because you as the fans who watch are the customers. Without you, the channel's nothing. So I will answer. Have I always? Probably not. But that's because I didn't see the message, or something else happened, or I had the best intentions to answer, but then 2 days later I forgot. Shit happens. Shit absolutely happens. And that's why I didn't make the video after I wrote one email, hey, what's going on? I made the video after there were 4 or 5 emails of that kind, which was clearly an indication of nobody, they're getting it, but they don't want to answer. And that's the issue. Now, is inMusic the only company guilty of that? Nope. And you know what? I will name names because some of them watched that video, and interestingly, all of a sudden, it's weird. You just yell into a camera for half an hour, and all of a sudden, these contacts that ignored you for a while come out of the woodwork and they're like, oh, yeah, saw that video. Here I am. I don't want to say they're doing it because they're afraid that they're getting the same video. I can't make the video about every single company that ignores me. Or anyone that ignores me, by the way. Like my tax sortie lady. But I think all of a sudden them responding to me was a sign of realizing that they made a mistake and that there's 4 emails from me in their inbox that they have yet to answer when they reached out to me in the first place. And if they realize they made a mistake and then come to me and say, oh, by the way, here we are. It's interesting, isn't it? Because then you're wrong about arrogant, entitled, it was my mistake to follow up, because they're realizing that that's not the way it should be. And I will name some names that came out of the woodwork. All of a sudden, my guy from Presonus, similar situation, came. Hey, Ollie, I'm meeting him in London. Fender Specialty Brands, the US lady who I worked with and we had a good relationship, doesn't answer my emails anymore. Now I'm connected with the Brits. And hopefully I have a meeting at 1. You don't know what that means. You don't know what time it is now. And I'm hoping that we can build a relationship there. But that came out of that video. Because they're scared? No, but maybe because they realize there has to be a better way of communicating. Similar thing, I'm sorry, Bad Cat amps. Did 6 videos for them. Worked with Matthew, great guy. All of a sudden, no more answers at all. And I don't stop there. So I go to the sales guy, who I know. Write him on Facebook over months. Hey, where are we with this? I'll call you tomorrow. Didn't. Then he connects me with their social media guy, who's new. Clear connection email. That was 3 days ago. Now, when the guy gets an email from the sales guy, oh, by the way, here's Henning, we need to do something with him for the new amps. Nothing. I had to follow up again on Facebook saying, hey, no answer from this guy. That was last night. All of a sudden this morning, I have an answer. Okay, 3 days, not so bad. But I do think that it was because I pushed again. Why do I have to do this? If the guy gets an email, oh, we need to work with Henning. Hey, Henning, nice to meet you. We'll talk when I got something. That's not even 10 seconds to type. Wait. "20 seconds, the way I type. Okay? I had more. Oh, yeah. MetalCon Berlin. I found out yesterday. So that's a workshop thing. Cole is involved. Many people are involved. Cool thing to participate if you're into metal production. They reached out to me and said, hey, can you maybe do a workshop for us at this weekend-long MetalCon thing, which I'm now promoting? And I said, and he wanted me to talk about pedals. Well, he didn't quite know that I have quite a background in metal and prog metal production, have worked with big names and so on. And I could talk about drum programming, which I'm, skilled in. So we have a 1 hour phone conversation. We talk about all the possibilities. That all sounds really, really good. I'll get back to you. Now it's happening at the end of April, and I'm not part of it, and I'm fine. Okay, I already booked I booked the Krakow show. Booked as in, I'm going to the Krakow Guitar Festival. And didn't realize it was on the same weekend because, again, I had no confirmation about anything. But now there's already marketing for it and all that, and I'm clearly not part of it, which, again, is fine. I wasn't, really eager to go there. Would have been cool, but not like, I'm not going to cry about it. But wouldn't it take at least an email saying, in retrospect, we looked through everyone and we don't have any open workshops available, or we can't afford the fee. We never talked about a fee, but there would have had to be a fee. Whatever. Just a quick thing saying, you're out. Let's revisit next year. Nope. Nothing. And when I wrote him yesterday, like, hey, apparently this is happening, and you didn't tell me that it's happening without me. Still no answer. Oh, he had a day. I get it. But I don't understand that we have to accept this not telling. I'm honestly, I might have done it with Gear Street, talking to YouTube channels. I mean, sometimes we had YouTube channels send us like an application. We want to be part of it. Lots of smaller channels. And I probably did not tell some of them that we went with someone else. And I absolutely apologize for that. I do try to give people bad news, good news, whatever. I do try to communicate, whether you're a fan, a different channel, a brand, whatever it is. So, probably forgetting people that I wanted to call out. It's, as you said, completely normal, and it's many of them. And from now on, I will absolutely not stand for it. I will write emails to companies saying, this is not okay, this shouldn't be normal, ask inMusic. Not as a threat. I'm not going to make another video. Topic's done. But I think people need to be reminded of these ethics and manners. Because apparently, generationally speaking, there are 2 different generations now that are just they have never learned how to do this adequately. Painting business. My friend Stefan came in, and he's got a successful painting business, very high end. And then when people apply to apprentice there, he said, they write emails or they call like, oh, you taking apprentices? And then he goes like, who's there? They don't even go like, hi, my name is Frank, or Paul in this case. Hey, my name's Paul. I thought about apprenticing as a painter. Do you have any I mean, we're talking about basic courtesy. Okay, so I did get a WhatsApp call, which I accepted because that's what I do. I name him Joe Richardson. Joe is the CMO of inMusic. CMO means Chief Marketing Officer, which means he's one under the boss, owner. This is a huge company, 20 brands. Stanton Denon, Akai, M Audio, Headrush, Moog, a big company, right? Many, many moving parts. And he said he hadn't seen the video yet, but everyone in the office is running around sending him mails and showing him screenshots, and people are worried. Or something along those lines. And then we had a nice chat in which he said, whatever happened, and big props to the man, whatever happened is his responsibility because it's his department that failed. And as the chief marketing officer, yeah, he didn't know about the goings on, but instilling an environment and an aura and a vibe of, I don't know the right word, of these kinds of manners and making sure that to the boss, those things are important, escaped him. He did not ask me to take the video down. He did not pressure me. He did not threaten anything legal. He simply said, this is not okay. He's 3 years older than I am. We are of the same generation. And we both agree that this isn't cool. And he says, this is not what the company stands for. This is not what he wants to happen in the company where he is a big kahuna. This could be damage control talk. This could be company line bullshit. I didn't hear any corporate speak. I heard someone who was appalled by the ignorance and by the words and by someone clearly that has exchanged many emails with me calling me Paul, which just shows massive ignorance. And it felt genuine. This is all I can say. It felt genuine. We hung up and he said, I will call you back tomorrow. I'm going to dig deeper into this. I then sent him a chronological order of all the emails exchanged so he can see what happened. He also watched the video, which he hadn't seen at that point. And he called back and said, thank you for doing all of this. This is not how things should be run. He did explain one or two things. First of all, we know now that the director of marketing who initiated the contact with me was let go. So yeah, my emails were going into an account that at the end of December was no longer being checked. We know they should have been checked by someone else, but there's a bigger issue. Within inMusic, many of the brands have dedicated people that do marketing with influencers and artists. Moog clearly has someone that talks to all their people, establishes relationships, and keeps them alive, as have all the DJ brands, Akai, and so on. Headrush does currently not have a team. So it's the little stepdaughter company within the bigger company that, I'm sorry to say, they're just not taking seriously enough, which we see on YouTube who's talking about Headrush. Not too many people. What happens? It's not being recognized as an equal modeler on the level of all the other big ones, primarily because of how the company treats the product. A product needs a development team that stays on it. They need a tech support team. They need a software team. And flipping these people around too many times is an issue, especially marketing. If you don't have someone dedicated to that, that's a problem. So director of marketing, who wrote to me actually didn't have the, let's say, authority to speak for HeadRush. Wonder why he wrote to me. I mean, maybe that's also why he lost the job, because he did these kind of things. I don't know. And according to the CMO, he also didn't have a budget for HeadRush to work with. So really, there wasn't anyone responsible for what I do. There wasn't. And maybe that's why a lot of these emails went into nothingness. The community manager, who was roped into the conversation early on, definitely he's not even in marketing. He's supposed to monitor forums and Facebook groups, the community around 20 brands, and make sure that people's questions are answered and that everyone feels heard. Knowing the name of the person you're talking to is a good thing in that job, and he might have to revisit how to do that correctly. But I was not his responsibility. I was nobody's responsibility. And obviously, that was a mistake of the company. As Joe Richardson clearly said, they now have to revisit what's happening. They have to look at a team for this. Will things change, and how do they change? For example, I said, could you maybe just send a memo out which says, instead of thank you for your patience and understanding, just reword that. I know it's totally typical slang. It's also typical slang here. I'm not okay with that terminology because it's passive aggressive. Thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. If the other person is really ticked off, that ticks him off even more. So instead of saying thank you, we'd ask for your patience and understanding. We hope you can have some patience and understanding in this situation. So it's not an answer, it's please have some compassion for the situation. Very, very different word. I said, send a memo out. Be the one company that phrases that not passive aggressively. Okay, something like this. And he said, yep, that sounds like a good idea. Is he going to do it? I don't know. So is inMusic going to change in how they interact with people? Is this going to happen again? I got no excuses about what happened. I got this is all not okay. We don't stand for that. I'm thinking there's an impulse now to change things. Will it? I don't know. But all I can say is it sounded genuine. He sounded like a decent human being who wants things changed. And if the video made them go into a conference room and discuss how they, as a team dealing with customers, influencers, artists, and dealers, communicate, then the video already did something. It clearly already did something because many people approached me and said, hi, Paul, thank you for your understanding. Haha, very funny. But I've heard from companies all of a sudden that I hadn't heard from in a few months. So I don't think it's fear. I think it's them just saying, maybe he's got a point. And I heard from many, many companies. Patrick from Eventide, for example, commented talking about personal relationships and that it's very important how to build them. And many people who should be a little bit scared to comment under a video like this absolutely said, no, this needs to be said. Apparently, it needs to be said. Okay. inMusic's position is, he didn't say that, but we fucked up. We're going to do better. And I cannot ask for more. What I will now do is, let's see how we communicate from now on. Should we even communicate from now on? Should I expect a job from them? No. Honestly, if I was in music, why give me any kind of job? That makes no sense. We're going to have to settle this. Maybe something comes up at some point where someone reaches out, and then we see how the communication goes. If you are a business, a YouTuber, or anyone who deals with inMusic, let me know. Maybe we are all together as customers and partners of inMusic. I think from now should simply monitor the situation. And there's at least one company among all these companies that are doing this bullshit. that heard the message. So let's see how it goes. Full disclosure, he asked me, do we owe you anything for your time? Because I have wasted quite a bit of time on this. And he didn't ask that as a bribe. And I said, look, yeah, fuck, you owe me something for my time. There were meetings and agreements and emails, and I spent some time that you usually would be spent making money on something that didn't get me anything. However, I told him I cannot take any money because that would clearly look like you're paying me off to take the video down or whatever. And I said the only reason why that video can come down is because I decide to do it for the right reasons. And he said, absolutely okay. So they wanted to give me money for my time wasted, but I don't do that. This one guy in the video said, Henning doesn't need the money. How do you know? How do you know I don't need the money? How do you know how much money I have? I'm doing okay. I can pay my bills. I'm not a rich man. I'm not struggling. That's the first time in my life as a musician at 50. I'm not struggling. I'm fine. The car's paid off. Leslie's car's paid off. It's all good. But he doesn't need the money. I don't know what this smaller YouTuber thinks that a YouTuber with 200,000 subscribers makes. But I tell you, from YouTube, this month, let's click on it. 1,600 euro. There you go. That's my YouTube clicks. Obviously, there's affiliate, there's companies paying me, all good. 1,600 is health insurance and not even... Health insurance and electricity would be about 2,500. So that doesn't cover my health insurance and my electricity, apart from the other stuff. But I'm not bitching about it. I'm fine. I'm doing absolutely fine. But this whole like projecting how much someone makes, look, unless you see their account, that's bullshit. So I didn't take their money. I will take the other video down. This one stays up. It's good that we talked about these things. And when I have a company not answering me, you bet your sweet ass that I will write very stern emails saying, this is not okay. We shouldn't live in a world where that happens. And that's not entitlement or arrogance. That's just common human decency. As I show you as a fan when you write me somewhere. As soon as I see the message, I will respond to you. Right? Could be short. Penis. But, you know, I'm gonna eat my sandwich now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And animals at the end.
They did not want to be seen.